Ho, ho, ho!
Welcome to the Haunted Hangover podcast. I'm Louie, and as always, I'm joined by my bud Dave.
Hey.
And we've got a special guest on the show today.
Indeed.
One of our good friends. He's a fellow podcaster. He's an actor. He also helps. He's part of the Haunted Hangover crew behind the scenes, specifically with the video content. Christopher Poultney.
Chrissy P.
Welcome to the show, Chris.
Blowing all the smoke up my ass today.
Hell yeah.
Gotta blow all the smoke up Chris's ass.
Very excited to be here.
We've been meaning to have you on the show for a while now. I think we talked about it since we started the podcast. We were like, you gotta have Chris on ASAP.
ASAP Chrissy.
It's been a long time coming.
And we thought, the holiday season would be the perfect time.
Chris at Christmas.
Let's keep
there
Chris.
You go. So Chris, I know you know this, but we're predominantly a Halloween show.
Right.
And usually when we have a guest on the show, we ask them, what is it about Halloween that's so special to them? But since it's the holiday season, we're changing things up a bit. And I'm going to ask you, what is it about Christmas that's so special to you personally?
Oh man, what isn't special about it? I love Christmas. I mean, you guys know I love Halloween too, but Christmas is it just makes you feel good. There's just something about it, you're the lights, the decorations, the holiday movies, the feel good atmosphere, being with the family, hot chocolate, snow. I mean, I could literally just give you a million different buzzwords for what Christmas means to me. I don't know. Christmas is it's a fun holiday. And, I think after a year like we've had, everybody's looking forward to like a little bit of a fun holiday. So I think Christmas is very much needed this year.
For sure. Chris, you left something out. I think you forgot Hallmark Channel and Lifetime Channel Christmas movies.
Oh, yeah.
So
those are the big ones.
We have to do an episode on Hallmark and Lifetime, just as it is, just a pop culture deep dive into the Hallmark and Lifetime channel.
I love how Dave always tries to fit in the Hallmark channel, and they're like shitty Christmas movies.
Oh yeah, there's so much to talk about. So
Chris, tell us a little bit about your podcast and a little bit about your acting career.
All right, so our podcast, it's me and my two brothers, Bill and Ed. We Booze Bros and Bill. I mean, we like to drink, we like to talk shit, and we are brothers. So that's pretty much where the name came from. And we have been doing it for about a year now, and we're a little all over the place when it comes to topics. We've covered football, we've covered pro wrestling, we've covered movies, we've covered TV shows. So we don't really have like a designated theme for our podcast. It's just kind of off the seat of our pants kind of thing. And I don't know, we've been enjoying ourselves doing it. We're working on getting a little bit better. Hopefully I'll take a couple of lessons I learned here today and bring them over to my podcast, and we'll see what happens.
Thank you.
As long as you're doing it, that's all that matters, man.
Yeah.
Everyone does this podcast thing differently, the way they produce the show, the way they just put the show together. So there's no wrong way. As long as you're doing it, that's the most important thing.
And as long as you're having a good time doing it. So.
Exactly.
Oh, we have a blast doing it.
And talk about the acting. I want to hear about that.
The acting. You want to hear about my acting?
Yeah,
I do.
Huh. Let's see. So I mean, Louis is the guy who got me off my keister and back into acting after sitting around doing nothing with it for 5 or 10 years. So then we did Good Day together, and then we did everything else after that together. Yeah. And hopefully in 2021 we'll get back to doing some more stuff together.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we've been good friends now, Chris, for how long? 5-6 years now?
Almost 6 years, yeah.
Yeah. You're one of my closest friends, and Chris has been in I think every project for the most part since probably 2015.
Absolutely. And I know Chris because of Louie.
Yeah.
So thank you, Lou. We salute you.
No, you salute me? Okay.
Yeah.
So, it's December, it's Christmas time, and one of the most important things when it comes to Christmas, one of the things you can't go without mentioning is the big man himself, Santa Claus. Now personally, I've always found the concept of Santa Claus interesting. Like, we tell kids that this like fat, overweight, bearded guy who loves cookies and wears red is going to enter our homes and deliver presents to us. It's both like magical and weird, you know. It's and creepy, honestly. Just he's basically a home invasion. It's a home invader. He's coming into your house and bringing you gifts. What do you guys think of the whole Santa Claus concept and idea?
There's a reason kids are scared of him. Like you said, the concept of a guy who's not in your house ever throughout the year, but is there for that one day, you know, through almost magical, well, not almost, but through magical means is for a kid is kind of terrifying, you know. You get this guy who just shows up in your house one day, and his whole shtick is predicated on whether you were good or bad for the year, you know?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's very supernatural, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, when you think about it, you know? It is just the concept I find it's just strange.
So let me ask you guys a question. As far as me, as you know, growing up and being a kid, it was always like just known that Santa came through the chimney.
Yeah.
So is that the folklore for everywhere, that Santa Claus appears through the chimney, or is it just like whatever, like he just fucking appears in your living room and that's that?
I think that's just a general, like, that goes with the folklore of the character, right. I feel. Because, like, growing up, I lived in apartments most of my life. Like, so
right, me too,
I never had a chimney.
Right, exactly.
Or a
that's why I
fireplace.
say that.
Right.
So I think when I was a kid, I thought Santa came in through the window. That's what I thought. Like, he would climb up a fire escape. He would just climb up the fire escape or down the fire escape because he'd be on the roof, and then just enter my apartment through the window, which is terrifying when you think about it, you know?
Yeah, it's like a burglar.
Yeah, and it's funny, and I have a question for you guys. Sure. Did you ever take a picture with Santa at the mall? That's always another weird, like, I definitely did a couple times.
Yeah.
But, like, I always found that as a weird tradition.
Yeah, we did it. We did it all the time when we were kids. There's pictures of, you know, me and my two brothers and all of our cousins sitting along and you know, taking pictures with Santa Claus when we were kids. My aunt, you know, still talks about it. We're adults, and my aunt still tries to get us to do pictures with Santa Claus at the mall. Like, that's not going to happen.
Sitting on this random dude's lap and just telling him what you want for Christmas.
I've gone with my brother to, you know, when he takes his son to meet Santa at Macy's in the city. But I don't know. And my nephew, like, you know, for the first couple of years, cried his eyes out meeting Santa. It's just, there's something about it that invites terror in little kids.
You know, at an early age, I knew Santa wasn't real. I mean, to me, at least, I knew it wasn't real. I don't have a ton of memories of visiting Santa at the mall or taking pictures. I know my mom did it. You know what I'm saying? She definitely took me to have that picture taken. But, like, the memories of Santa that I have, like, I remember always, every year, leaving a note, milk, and Oreos. And it was definitely one of my uncles eating the milk and Oreos. But the best part about it was, like, I guess, like, the attention to detail in this is that, like, sometimes they wouldn't finish the cookie, or there was, like, a little drop of milk left. So it's like, oh, Santa was full, or Santa had enough. So that was always, like, the ongoing thing in my house. But like I said, once I turned, like, I don't know, like 6, like, or 7, like, I knew Santa wasn't real. I was like, yeah, just let me just get my gifts.
Yeah. How did you find out? Everybody has that story of, like, the year that they knew Santa wasn't real.
I don't know. I mean, so if we're gonna, so I had written this, like, big, not a big paragraph, but I have a paragraph written about Christmas Eve, especially in being an Italian. Christmas Eve is the bigger holiday than Christmas Day. So I'm just gonna get into it then with this. So every Christmas Eve, is insanity, especially with Italians. I think it's like that with other, ethnic backgrounds too, where Christmas Eve is definitely the bigger of the celebration. Is that with can I say that? Do you guys celebrate Christmas Eve more, or do you guys celebrate Christmas Day more?
I think ours is more day.
See, it's interesting.
For me, being Hispanic, being Puerto Rican, Christmas Eve was always the more
There you go.
popular day to celebrate Christmas. I think like we had dinner and we would open gifts at midnight.
Exactly.
And that was always the thing. Even still to this day, like I go to my mom's house on Christmas, and that's really when we celebrate.
So as a kid, we would go to my aunt's house in Garden City, and we all pile into her basement, and there was always tons of food, tons of desserts, and of course, fish. So my grandmother, and she still does this to this day, and actually next week or soon, we're making these Italian fried honey balls. So like it's like dough, and you chop them up, and you deep fry them, then you put honey on them, and then you put sprinkles on them. They're amazing. I think it's... I'm going to butcher this word. I think it's called strufoli or I forgot. There's another name for it. I just call them the Italian honey balls.
Sounds incredible.
Yeah, they are. They're amazing. They're amazing.
I've never heard of it.
Louis, if you see them, you'll know exactly what they are. Trust me.
Oh, okay.
So we'd pile into my aunt's basement, and dude, we didn't eat until 9 or 10 at night. So like you have all these people here, like we didn't start eating until 10 o'clock, and there was no one was giving gifts or allowed to open gifts until Santa came. And somebody would dress up as Santa Claus in my family. It was always somebody different. And they would come from the back staircase in the basement all the way, they come down, and then you'd hear the bell. Once you heard that bell, it was fucking, it was like Madball set it off. It was set off. It was just, it was like, oh shit. Every kid got up, was wide-eyed, like, holy shit, Santa's here. So literally, whoever was playing it, could have been an aunt, could have been my uncle, whoever, aunts or uncles, I'm sorry. They would come down, they had a big sack over their back, full of gifts, and then they'd sit down in this iconic chair that was always in the basement, and all the family members would just push all the gifts that they brought for everybody to Santa. So Santa would call out names and say, oh, David, here's a gift for you, or Roseanne, my mom, here's, and you just come and get your gifts. But you weren't allowed to touch those gifts until, people would give gifts earlier, but you weren't allowed to touch them until midnight.
Until Santa
like
came.
it was like it was a law.
Official.
So like by the time Santa comes, it's midnight, one in the morning, and dude, we didn't get home until like 3 or 4 in the morning.
Jeez,
it like I'm telling you, it was such like it was like an adventure, like a mythic night at my aunt's house, like. Who's playing Santa? Like, and this is my answer to you, Chris, is that I just knew he was, you know what I'm saying? Because I knew it was a family member dressing up, and, It's like, but it was like, oh, who's playing Santa? I wonder what gifts I'm going to get. Like, I would always explore the house, and it was, I don't know. So, like, that's like my fondest Christmas memory is, like, going to Christmas Eve at my aunt's house, and... yeah, I mean, that's just kind of how I was like, yeah, Santa's probably not real.
So my family did a similar thing. I remember we'd always go to my grandmother's place, and like when we'd go there, we'd have dinner, music, the whole shebang, the whole thing. Then at midnight, we'd open my grandma's presents. Those came from grandma, not from Santa. Like there was, we'd separate them. And I have a vivid memory of going to my grandmother's house. We celebrated Christmas as a family, everyone together, opened up grandma's gifts, went home, just like your family. It was like 3 a.m. And when we got home, Santa showed up while I was away, while I was at my grandma's place. And when I got there, and I remember that's when I got a Super Nintendo. That was that's specifically a memory. I remember finally getting home. It's like 2 a.m, 3 a.m. And Santa had already shown up and gave me a Super Nintendo. So honestly, I believed in Santa, and I thought he was like, I was a little not skeptical. I got skeptical around 9 or 10. But up until that point, I really thought like some dude shows up in your house and brings you gifts.
Sure.
Like, you know, but
Yeah.
I never had a family member that dressed up as Santa and pretend to be Santa. That never happened.
The best part about it is that it's not weird to anybody. Like, as a kid,
Yeah.
it's not weird. As your family members, your parents, it's not weird. It's like, okay, this guy's gonna show up on our house, leave some shit and leave. Okay, cool.
What about you, Chris? When did you stop believing in Santa?
So me and Ed obviously were twins, so we would always get tons. Our action figure collection growing up was absolutely stacked. Christmas we'd get 14 or 15 action figures between the two of us every Christmas. So
Amazing.
I remember one particular Christmas, we probably were like, I don't know, 9 or 10 years old. We somehow saw some action figures in the closet a couple of weeks before Christmas. And my parents told us, oh yeah, we bought those for your cousins. Those are your cousins' presents. And then lo and behold, we opened them up on Christmas Day. And that was it. The jig was up. Like, you're keeping presents in the closet. Like, clearly Santa's not doing that.
I love how finding your own gifts is how you knew Santa was
Finding
bullshit.
our own gifts. Yep. Yeah.
And do you see why my mom returned all those gifts? Because she was trying to keep that lore up.
She was trying to keep up the reality of Santa existing.
Absolutely.
Right. Keep the mythology going.
So with this whole discussion of Santa, I thought it would be fun for us to each pick an iconic Santa from pop culture. Just a personal favorite that's iconic to us. It could be from a film, TV show, music. It could be from anything as long as it's pop culture related. So Chris, since you're our guest on the show, hit us with your first pick.
This year, before your tree is trimmed and your goose is cooked,
Haven't you people heard about basting?
catch the nation's funniest Santa
Who's down there?
in the season's biggest comedy.
Freeze, fat boy.
That boy?
Tim Allen,
Johnny, naughty. Gary, nice. Veronica, very nice.
the Santa Claus.
Nice teeth.
Now playing at a theater near you. Check newspaper for showtimes.
So my pick, I have to go with this one, and I feel like it's maybe a little cliche, but the Santa Claus with Tim Allen is my pick for iconic Santa. I just think that the concept of the movie is just a fun concept, one that's really lost on kids. I feel it's a movie for kids, but I'll be perfectly honest, it took me till I was in adulthood to realize that it was spelled clause, C-L-A-U-S-E, as in a clause in a contract.
Yeah, I was about to say that. I think because I saw this movie in the theater. It was released in 1994, right?
1994, yeah.
As a kid, you just think Tim Allen killed Santa and became the new Santa Claus.
Right.
But in reality, it's a contract.
Right.
And it's like a job that he's kind of forced to take.
Yeah, I think that's such a fun concept, though. I mean, like, it really hadn't been explored as a movie or as a concept period before that. And I think, my personal bias aside, I love Tim Allen. I think the guy's the king of 90s comedies, and that is just one of the 90s comedies that he was he excelled at. And I just think he's really endearing in the role. His Scott Calvin character, SC initials, being Santa Claus, and the whole the transformation as he gets fatter, and he there's the scene where he goes to his boardroom meeting and everybody's ordering like salads and diet food, and he's like, can I get milk and cookies, can I get a hot fudge sundae, and like all this stuff to go along with the transformation into Santa. I just think it's a fun movie. It's a really it's one of those ones that I'm gonna watch every year on Christmas.
Yeah, it's the thing with the Santa Claus, and let me clarify. He doesn't. If you have never seen this movie, he doesn't kill Santa. He accidentally kills Santa, right? Because doesn't he shout "Who are you?"
Right.
Yeah.
Santa falls off. He calls out to him,
and then Santa slides off the roof and falls into the ground,
Mm-hmm.
and he falls on the ground and dies basically and vanishes. But just the
Right.
whole idea, growing up, Santa was always a person. it wasn't a job.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Santa Claus did a great job kind of saying, kind of separating the person and the job. That it is a person, but it can
Right.
be anyone as long as you're picked to be the next. Because I don't know, maybe
Yeah.
you can answer this question. Maybe you know the movie. I actually watched this movie like a month ago with my girlfriend.
I was
But
just watching it this morning, actually.
in the movie, is it that anyone, as long as if Santa dies in front of you, that you're chosen to become Santa, or is it like fate where like, okay, that was supposed to happen and you become Santa, or like let's say Santa died and coming to visit me and I witnessed it, would I become Santa Claus?
Well, Bernard the elf says to him, "You put on the suit, you're the big guy." That's the catch-all for it. He puts on the Santa Claus suit and that's it. The magic transfers from whoever that was to Scott Calvin, who's now the new Santa. It's like a almost like a Dread Pirate Roberts kind of thing from The Princess Bride. He like takes over the lineage.
So I have to be honest, I have not seen this movie since it came out. I don't remember anything about it. I just have little fragmented pieces of Tim Allen in a Santa Claus costume. I remember liking the movie though, because I do like Tim Allen, and I wish I could have more input on this pick because again, I don't remember it at all. But I do remember thinking he was pretty entertaining as a Santa Claus.
Mm-hmm.
That's a movie I definitely need to rewatch because it does have adult undertones in that movie. And I always like when things do that, like especially when they're trying to cater to children, but they're also catering to an adult audience as well. And it's actually to me, it's always like a sign of a good writer is when someone can do that, when someone could correlate, something to a younger crowd and an older crowd.
No, of course.
And just to add, Tim Allen's mugshot when he got arrested for drug dealing is amazing.
Yes. With the 70s stash.
Yo, it's fucking tough.
You know what's one thing that always stuck out to me with the Santa Claus, and maybe Chris, maybe you know what obviously I think you know what I'm talking about, was remember when that like little girl elf is describing like some hot chocolate that she's giving him, like she has a special hot chocolate recipe. And I remember as a kid just being like, damn, I want hot chocolate now.
Yeah.
But they're not like, they're played by child actors, but they're supposed to be however old they are. They're elves. They're like millions of years old or whatever it is, which I think is part of the appeal of it. Like they're, adult people being played by children, and it's just fun. But I said, like, to Dave's point, you said like there's parts of it that you remember, and I think that speaks to like it being sort of an iconic kind of role, because even if you don't remember the movie, there's still like, you see these scenes in like Christmas montages all the time because it's one of those ones that people always go to.
It's a classic. It's a classic
Absolutely.
Christmas film.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the sequels are hot garbage.
Oh, the sequels are terrible.
They're so bad. But I agree. That's a great pick. He is a really iconic Santa. And I think he'll be known for Tim the Toolman Taylor, Buzz Lightyear, and Santa Claus.
Right. All three in the 90s.
Wait. And that mugshot, because
Yes.
Can't forget the mugshot.
it's so good.
Hello, kiddies. Just your old pal, the Crypt Keeper, having a little holiday fun. Why else would I be in this getup? Unless there was a clause in my contract. In fact, I've got some Christmas goose for you. Goosebumps, that is. Yes, indeedy. A little terror tale chock full of holiday fear. I mean, cheer, of course. So, get a gander of the Yuletide Yelp yarn that goes a little something like this. 'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house.
So my pick is quite different from yours, Chris.
Here we go.
Mine is geared entirely to adults. That's who's watching the Santa I'm about to talk about. So my pick is the axe-wielding Santa Claus from the 1989 Tales from the Crypt episode, And All Through the House.
Good one.
It's actually the second episode on the first season, so very early on, like in the run of the show. Like I believe Tales from the Crypt was 7 seasons, so this is really early.
Yeah.
So this depiction of Santa was portrayed by Larry Drake, who most people know from Darkman.
Yes.
He was the villain. I think the villain's name was Durant.
Yep.
And he was also in Dark Knight of the Scarecrow, but he's most famously known as Dr. Giggles. I forget the doctor's real name, but Dr. Giggles is the name of the movie, which I know everyone loves for the most part. So I'm going to sum up this episode briefly, just kind of what it's about. So a woman murders her husband on Christmas Eve in order to inherit some money from his last will and testament. She also has like this new lover who's in cahoots with her, but that's kind of like a quick subplot that's brushed off with with a phone call. She talks to him. She's like, "I did it. I killed him. You know, the money's ours." So her daughter is also in the house, and she's waiting in the bedroom for Santa to arrive. So her mom keeps shooing her away, kind of like, "Go upstairs. If you don't go to bed and go to sleep, Santa's never gonna show up." And you know, she's kind of a pain in the ass in the episode, because I think she pops out of her room a few times, and the mom's like, "I just murdered somebody," and you keep coming out. So she's hiding it from her daughter. Eventually, as the woman's trying to dispose of the body, we hear over a radio broadcast that an escaped convict / maniac has escaped. Basically, an escaped convict. He's escaped from like a mental ward or something like that.
It's never good.
And it's never good. And he's dressed as Santa and basically going on a killing spree. So he's going from house to house, just slaughtering people. That's all you get from this radio breaking news alert. So he eventually makes his way to this woman's house, and he's trying to get inside and kill her. He's got no motive. He's just fucking crazy, and he's dressed as Santa. And it's an interesting plot because she's trying to survive the night and also get away with murder, because that's the only way she'll get this money. And on top of that, she's trying to have her daughter not find out what she's done. So this woman's kind of an idiot, because she's fucking gonna kill somebody while her daughter's in the house, which goes to show you that she might belong in a fucking psych ward or something like that.
She needs that bag.
So I've always loved like how intimidating Larry Drake was as this killer Santa.
Yeah.
You know, he's a big dude, or he was a big dude. You know, he's heavy set. And in the episode, he's got like these nasty ass, gross, rotten teeth that are kind of protruding out of his mouth the entire, like every shot he's in is just these like rotten teeth. He's got a missing tooth. They're black and green and gross.
He's got a big scar on his face.
Yes. Overall, he's not a very nice Santa.
No.
He's fucking horrible.
There's always, so as a kid, because I definitely seen that when I was younger, this episode, and there's that scene, and this doesn't really give anything away, so no need for a spoiler alert, but there's a scene where the mother, whatever, is in the closet, and he's he's trying to either climb up or climb down the house, and he looks in the window, and she sees him, and she gets terrified. And that always scared the shit out of me when I was a kid, because he is scary looking. Like, when you look at him, so, like, imagine, like, so now if you switch the context of this idea to something else, imagine, like, being on Christmas Eve and you see that Larry Drake Santa looking in your window. Yo, it's fucking terrifying.
Shit my pants.
Yeah.
He reminds me a lot in the episode of Jason, not in appearance, obviously, because he barely speaks. He only has one line in the entire episode, and it's at the very end. And all he wants to do is kill this woman. He's got absolutely no motive behind it. He's just crazy. And she constantly throws shit at him. Like, she's hitting him. She slashes him across the face at one point. She's fighting him back. And he constantly just springs back to life and is coming after her. He wants to kill this woman and is not giving up.
He hates her.
But yeah, like, I always associate Tales from the Crypt with this episode, And that's what makes it iconic for me. Like, besides the Crypt Keeper, this Killer Santa is what I always think of. And, like, I remember as a kid, this was, I believe, because, again, my memory's a little foggy, too. This was probably one of the first Tales from the Crypt episodes I'd ever seen. Because I remember switching the channels. I was, like, 7 or something like that. And seeing a scary Santa Claus, and this was the episode. And I remember catching it halfway. So, like, you see all the Christmas stuff, and you're like, oh, this is a Christmas movie. And then fucking Larry Drake Killer Santa pops out, all bloody and shit and gross. And I was like, oh, shit. But I was so intrigued that I remember finishing it. And it's a short episode. It's only like 22, 25 minutes around that time. And I just always associate, like, most horror Christmas-themed things with this Santa. Like, it's one of the first things that come to mind.
That's fair.
Like, to me. There are a few others, but this is definitely on the top of the list. It definitely it made an impact, like, on me. And going back to his kind of depiction and performance of the character, he's hamming it up. He's making faces, he's grunting, he's very goofy, but again, very, very intimidating. Now some backstory on this. I don't even know if you guys know this. Dave, you might know. I don't know if Chris knows, but this is actually a remake of a segment from the original 1972 Tales from the Crypt film. And I always preferred this new version from 1989 over the original. The original's great, don't get me wrong, but just this version of the Killer Santa was way better. Because I think in the original, he's a little older, the guy playing him, and he kind of just looks like this skinny old guy in a dirty Santa costume. Like, he doesn't look scary. So, like, they definitely upped it when it came to this new version of this Killer Santa that Larry Drake, put together.
I also think it's, as far as this episode goes, it's directed by Robert Zemeckis, which is, like, I think huge for, I mean, at the time, this was like his kind of wheelhouse. This was, late 80s. He was coming off of the Back to the Future trilogy at that point. Yeah. And he's done Christmas movies since then, but like, kids' Christmas movies. He did like A Christmas Carol, the Jim Carrey one, and the Polar Express and stuff. But I think, like, you don't really think of Robert Zemeckis as like a TV horror director, and I think it lends something to the episode for its, notoriety, that it had such a heavy hitter of a director on it,
Yeah, he's honestly, I think, one of the main producers of Tales from the Crypt.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when you look at the show, he's one of the main guys that helped create this HBO show back in the 80s.
So Chris mentioning Robert Zemeckis, and literally this popped into my head as soon as he said that. A lot of that could be said about Bob Clark.
Yeah,
so
of course.
Everybody knows Bob Clark for A Christmas Story, right? But he also did the other kind of Christmas movie called Black Christmas,
which is awesome.
Amazing. But it's a Bob Clark movie, even though they're both polar opposites. They both look like they were made from they were directed by Bob Clark. They have this almost surreal Norman Rockwell vibe to his films that only he can do. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
no, of course.
Like, and again, it's, you take something that's so different. Like, Christmas Story is a great feel-good, fun Christmas movie, but then you watch Black Christmas, which is fucking scary.
Yeah.
And like, and I'm not even being like, oh, it's a scary movie. No, that movie is legit scary.
It's creepy, it's eerie, of course.
And again, that's just that goes to, and I feel like that's something that is, it's not, I'm not speaking for all filmmakers out there today. I'm speaking for just kind of, and then, just something that's more generally speaking, there's not a voice really in a style, to me, where you see, like, someone directed this movie. And that's just kind of the point I'm getting at, is where at this time, all these movies, you had a style. So Robert Zemeckis, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's him. Bob Clark, it's him doing this movie. So I just wanted to add that in there because I felt that was something that had to be said.
If you're a horror fan, this should definitely be in your rotation. And All Through the House, it's got a lot of Christmas atmosphere. It feels like it would be a great double feature with a movie like Black Christmas or Krampus. Like, there's a ton of Christmas decor in it. It's snowing the entire episode. It starts panning through all these different Christmas decorations while chestnuts roasting on an open fire is playing in the background, rolling over the credits. It's the perfect time of the year to watch something with this brutal of a Santa. it's just, to me, this episode just kind of, it works so, everything about it works so well that you could lump it up with all these iconic, horror Christmas films or shows, because there are some other shows out there that have horror shows that have Christmas episodes. And I just think this works. This is perfect. It goes along perfectly with them. So yeah, that's The Killer Santa Claus from And All Through the House. Check it out.
Was the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that Saint Nicholas soon would be there. Survive Christmas, silent night, deadly night.
So, did you say brutal Santa Claus?
Yes, I did, Dave.
Because, speaking of brutal Santa Claus, my pick for iconic Santa Claus is Billy from Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Yes. A classic.
That was a great transition. Great transition.
Oh, man. So Silent Night, Deadly Night was released in 1984. It's about a boy named Billy who suffers from PTSD over witnessing a real slime ball dressed as Santa viciously murder his parents after stopping on the side of the road to help a seemingly lost Santa in need of assistance, as well as being brought up in a dysfunctional Catholic orphanage. Billy grows up and appears to be a healthy, headstrong young man, but the Christmas holiday carries him into a psychological breakdown, leading Billy into a holiday killing spree. Watch out for them deer antlers.
Poor Linnea Quigley. She gets it pretty bad in this movie.
Seriously. This movie, so Silent Night, Deadly Night, again, is one of those... It's like specifically for me, and I know for Lou, and I can probably speak for Chris, and to some extent, that this movie. Once Christmas comes around, and if you're a horror fan, you've seen this.
It's
movie
everywhere.
before.
It's everywhere.
It's got sequels. It's got sequels. The second one is hysterical, and it relies on almost. The movie almost solely relies on flashbacks from the first movie, but that's besides the point. Listen, I'm gonna give a light spoiler alert ahead. If you haven't seen this movie, maybe stop listening now. But if you have, let's enjoy this little kind of breakdown of my of why I chose Billy. First off, I gotta say, what the grandpa says to Billy as a little kid is one of the best lines. And it's, Christmas Eve is the scariest damn night of the year. So let's just start it off with that right there. I love the simplicity of Billy in a Santa Claus costume and just a loose beard hanging from his neck, and that's it. Clearly the costume doesn't even fit him. It's way too big for him. He's got so many good lines in the film. One of them being, "I don't bring toys to naughty children. I punish them severely." And he says that before he has the breakdown. So he gets not conned, but he gets worked into playing Santa Claus.
He's new at working at the store, right? And they're kind of just like,
exactly.
Hey, we have kids coming. Can you do it? And he kind of is just like, okay, he's going with the flow. I'll dress up as Santa. They don't even force him. He just kind of is like, okay, like I work here. They gave me a job. He's new, so I guess he just felt obligated to take on the role.
Exactly, and you could tell he doesn't he doesn't want to do this. So. Like the little kid is on his lap, and he says to the little, I believe it's a little girl, he's like, "I don't bring toys to naughty children. I punish them severely." And I just like, he has 2 lines that he basically says throughout the whole movie, and it's punish and naughty.
Yeah, that's it.
Every year, every Christmas time, I always walk around going, punish, naughty. Just to anyone. And like, some people know what I'm talking about. And some people are like, why are you saying that? I'm just like, you got to see Silent Night, Deadly Night.
I just want to say that first there's 2 terrible Santa Clauses in this movie, because that first one that Billy witnesses slaughter his family. That guy is such a piece of shit.
Horrible.
He robs a store first, kills the dude. Then he's just like, I think he just wants a car to kind of get around because he's on the side of the road to get away. And he's just like, you know what I'm going to do? Kill this random family with their kids. And I just love how it permanently scars Billy.
He slashes his mom's throat right in front of him.
He attempts to rape her first.
It's brutal.
Yeah, he's like feeling her up and stuff and rips open her shirt and then slashes her throat. And it's just kind of like, I was like, damn, it's such a brutal, like, opening scene.
It really
to start this movie. But it's honestly, it's dark but great.
Listen, there's a reason why I chose the word slime ball in my breakdown of the movie, in my synopsis, because this guy really is a fucking slime ball. And the funniest part is he's on the road and his car's broke down, and when the parents are driving and the dad says something like, "Oh, Billy, you're going to get your chance to meet Santa," and he's scared shitless because of what his grandpa says to him earlier. I didn't get into everything he says to him, and it's funny because when you watch the actor playing Santa Claus, he's like, "Yeah, I know, Santa Claus broke down on the road, right?" And then they all think that it's going to be this nice interaction, and it's the worst interaction for this family. And
because I think the dad's like, "Oh, look, Billy, Santa's here."
Yeah.
And Billy's like excited, but little does he know this guy is a fucking rapist.
Billy is not excited. Billy is horrified.
Oh, he's scared. You're right. He's scared because of the grandpa. You're right. My bad. It's funny that you mentioned the costumes being baggy, and that's something our picks kind of have in common. And I don't know if Silent Night, Deadly Night inspired, because it did come out before. And All Through the House, my pick, is both of them don't wear the beard properly. It's under their chins. And it's an interesting choice because it's like they both are kind of just lazy. They don't want to lift it above their like mustache, like above their lips, so it looks like a mustache.
Right. It's just hanging off their hanging right past their chest.
And I just found that interesting, like an interesting choice. Like,
it's funny.
Like the people behind the scenes were like, you know what? You're too crazy or lazy to put it over your like lip. Like, just let it hang there. And I find it just an interesting choice, an interesting costume choice.
Oh, for sure. And listen, the appearance-wise, Billy is nothing special, as Santa Claus. It's just a young man in an oversized Santa outfit, brutally killing people, right? But this movie is heavy on the kills and gore, and you have to watch this movie unrated because you have to watch the unrated version. It's a fun movie to watch. The makeup effects are amazing. Again, spoiler alert, Linnea Quigley's death scene is really iconic and well done.
It's awesome.
There's a scene where Billy hands a little girl a bloody box cutter. And he's like, have you been naughty? And she's like, no, I haven't been naughty. And then he gives her the bloody box cutter.
You also have to mention another iconic death that I personally love, and it's hysterical and great, is when he chops off the kid sledding's head, which is amazing. He just whacks this kid's head off while he's sledding. It's the most ridiculous. It's not realistic at all. Your head would not fly off like that, but it's awesome.
If you're a horror fan and you're going into the Christmas holiday, of course you're going to watch An All Through the House. Of course you're going to watch Black Christmas. Of course you're going to watch Christmas Evil, even though I've never seen Christmas Evil.
Christmas Evil rules.
But Silent Night, Deadly Night, I mean, it's something that always reminds me of Christmas. It's a well-done holiday horror slasher movie. And, hey, just be on the lookout with Billy and his bloody axe.
You don't want to be on the naughty list.
Santa Claus only brings presents to them that's been good all year. To the ones that ain't done nothing naughty. Naughty. All the other ones. All the naughty ones. He punishes. What about you, boy? You've been good all year? You see Santa Claus tonight? You better run, boy. You better run for your life.
So those were some of our iconic Santa Claus. And Chris, it was such a pleasure to have you on the show. And why don't you give the listeners a little info where everybody can find you?
Sure. Thank you guys for having me. I had an absolute blast. I know I went a little bit of a different route on my iconic Santa Claus than you two guys did, but
that's okay.
Hopefully everybody enjoyed it. So for social media, you can check out my podcast with my brothers. We are at Booze, Bros, and Bill on all social media platforms. We're streaming on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Find us on Instagram at Booze Bros Bill and Twitter at Booze Bros Bill. So hopefully you guys will enjoy what we have to say as much as you guys enjoy the Haunted Hangover podcast.
Thank you again, Chris, for being on the show. It's a long time coming. We've wanted you to be on for a while now. Finally got to do it. I'm sure you'll be on again in the future.
Smoke on my ass again, making me feel great.
And with that being said, be sure to subscribe. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Haunted Hangover.
And if you could rate and review us, that'd be greatly appreciated. And on behalf of the Haunted Hangover crew, we'd like to wish you a happy holiday.
Happy holidays, guys.
Ho, ho, ho!